Hi, it's GamerFreak207 coming back to you now with my Selesnya Midrange standard deck. As for the mana base, we have 3 Temple Gardens. Dual lands are always important to give you a solid mana base. We have a playset of Sun Petal Groves. We have 6 forests. And we have, finishing off the basics now, we have 5 plains. Next we come up on, I only have 1 utility land, I can't get my hands on another one, no one ends up having them, and people who do don't want to trade them away. Just a one of Gavany Township. It's usually, this mana base usually works very well for me. I've only gotten mana screwed once, and so here we come on to some removal. Well, you know, this is a versatility card. Selesnya Charm, very good. The charms are great. Gives you amazing versatility in these decks in standard right now. Reborn Defenses, all of those board wipes, you know, destroy all creatures. You can just get right by those and make them only affect your opponent, so you come out ahead. 3 of those. Some more removal now, because we don't have too much removal in green-white. So with the removal, we have O-Rings. You got a playset of them. Another enchantment we have in this deck is Collective Blessing. Usually when you play it, you're going to win because you're just going to start beating down your opponent with huge creatures, because all of a sudden your little mana dorks become 4/4s, hard to deal with. We've got 2 Planeswalkers in here. We've got Group Relentless. I find the Planeswalkers good against the control decks, because, especially him, because he can keep just pumping out creatures. And so in blue, it's hard for them to get rid of him once he's on the field if they don't counter him, or if they're not able to. You've got a Johnny. Usually I use him for his -3 to get in there with a ton of damage. His +1's really good. I've gotten his -8 off actually a couple of times, and as soon as I do it, I mean, they just scoop because there's no way they can get rid of that many tokens. Now we're getting to the creatures, starting with the Mana Dorks. We've got a playset of Arbor Elves. They're really good because they can untap the shock lands, and so they can tap now for either green or white. Now for some more creatures. 3 of Avacyn's Pilgrims, more mana acceleration. Get to your higher cost creatures later. 2 Dryad Militants, good to counteract those control decks with the flashbacks and Snapcasters. 2 Thalias really slows down the control decks and the burn decks as well. 2 Centaur Healers helps you gain some life back from those really aggro decks or the burn decks. So that way you can get to the late game and stabilize where they're not as good. Playset of Luxodon Spiders. Good against the control. Just all around good around. It's above your curve. It's above the curve because it's a 4/4 for 3. Can't be countered, and if somebody makes you discard it, it'll come into play. Usually we get this out turn 2 because we usually have a Mana Dork. So 4/4 on turn 2 is really good. We've got a 1-of Trostani because gaining a lot of life makes it really difficult for your opponents to deal with, and we can later populate our Mono Worm tokens and Thragtusk tokens and start gaining a lot of life when they come into play. So we've got 2 Thragtusks now. Good for a lot of life gain. Just an all-around good card. A lot of profit. So a lot of profit with this card. 2 Armada Worms. Good bomb. Very good. Because you can start blinking him, you can start populating tokens. 10 Trample Power for 6. Just really good. Above curve. Restoration Angel. Start bouncing those Armada Worms to get more tokens, or the Thragtusk to gain more life and get a token. And then 2 Angel of Serenities. Really good. Start getting stuff back from your graveyard. Bounce them back. Just trigger them with each other. Off of each other when if one's in the graveyard. Very good card. Now for the sideboard, we've got 2 Wild Defiance to go up against the burn decks. General Hate with Pithing Needles, 2. 1 Wolfir Silverheart, just a good beefy creature if you need it in there. 2 Rest in Peace, just go up against control decks that are using flashback, anything, very good. 2 Sundering Growths, good removal for artifacts and enchantments. Next up we have a playset of Farseeks. It's good against the control decks or board wipe decks, burn decks, because then you can rely on these better than you can your mana dorks. We have a 1 of volatile rig for token decks. Wipe their board of their tokens. And last we have 1 Dryad Militant sideboard in against their very heavy control decks. Hope you liked the deck. Tell me what you think about it in the comments. See you next time. I will be having 2 more commander decks coming up. One with Arkham Dagson and one with Nath the Guiltleaf. Stay tuned.